Night fell quietly over the remote mountain valley. The government space listening station sat on a lonely ridge, a collection of silver domes and long antennas pointing like frozen fingers toward the sky. Inside the main control room, a low hum of computers filled the air. Most nights were the same, endless screens, quiet coffee, and static from distant stars. Dr. Lena Morris checked the time on the glowing clock above the doorway. 2 in the morning. The team of night shift scientists looked tired but calm. They were used to silence. Space was mostly silent. Then it happened. At first it was only a soft pulse on the signal board, a small spike of light. Technician Omar leaned forward, thinking it was just a passing satellite. But the pulse returned, again and again, too steady, too perfect. The room went still. Everyone's eyes turned to the center screen. "Is that?" Lena's voice was a whisper. Omar adjusted the filters. The static cleared. A rhythm appeared, like a heartbeat but mechanical, deep and slow. A sound not made by weather, not by any known radio source. The pattern repeated every 20 seconds, a clear sequence of tones rising and falling like a strange melody. They recorded every second. The sound grew stronger, sharper, until it felt alive. The room's fluorescent lights flickered as if the signal itself had weight. Suddenly the tones stopped. A pause. A silence so heavy it felt like the air had been sucked from the room. Then a voice spoke. It was smooth and musical, not quite human yet close enough to raise the hair on every neck. The language was unknown at first, a series of flowing syllables. But after a few moments, the voice changed. It spoke one line in perfect English. "He will be mine." The words hung in the control room like a cold wind. No one moved. The speakers crackled softly after the message, as if waiting for a reply. Lena swallowed hard. Did you hear that?" "Yes," Omar said, his face pale. "I think the whole world would hear that if we sent it live." The voice repeated the phrase 3 more times, each slower and deeper, until the final, "mine," faded into silence. Then the signal vanished, leaving only the normal hiss of the universe. Panic rippled through the team. Phones rang. Supervisors were called. The recording was copied and locked on secure drives. Government lines lit up like fireworks. Within 30 minutes, the station was crowded with officials. Some wore dark suits, others military uniforms. Questions flew: was it a prank? A hack? A new enemy technology? But the data was clean. The signal came from deep space, far beyond any satellite or known craft. By dawn the message reached the highest levels of government. Leaders argued over what to tell the public. Some demanded silence to avoid panic. Others said the truth could not be hidden. Social media already buzzed with rumors of a voice from the stars, and amateur radio listeners claimed to have heard the same phrase, "He will be mine." Around the world, curiosity and fear grew. News channels replayed the mysterious words again and again. Some people thought it was a warning of invasion. Others believed it was a sign of destiny, maybe even a kind of cosmic love story. Churches filled with people praying, while conspiracy forums exploded with wild theories. Meanwhile, the scientists kept working. They traced the origin of the signal to a distant star system nearly 40 light-years away. The exact point came from a small cluster known for its strange blue glow, a region with no known planets large enough to host life. Yet the signal was precise and strong, as if someone had aimed a giant radio beam directly at Earth. Inside the station, Lena replayed the message late that morning. She closed her eyes, listening carefully. The voice felt calm, almost gentle, not like a threat but like a promise. Still, the meaning of "he will be mine" chilled her. Who was he? Why Earth? Why now? Across the planet, ordinary people also wondered. Parents kept children close. Students debated in classrooms. In crowded cities and quiet villages alike, people gazed at the night sky with a new unease. Every star seemed to watch them back. Governments prepared statements, but no one had answers. The only fact was the recording itself, clear, unbroken, and real. Late that evening, just as the sun slipped below the mountains, the signal returned for a brief moment. A single pulse, like a heartbeat, then silence. It was as if whoever, or whatever, had spoken was reminding Earth that the message was not a mistake. He will be mine. 3 words. A mystery that set the entire human race on edge and marked the beginning of something no one could yet imagine. While the world argued about the strange message, life in a quiet seaside town went on as usual. Far from the mountain station and the shouting newsrooms lived Ethan Ward, a 19-year-old college student. He spent most of his evenings on a small wooden balcony behind the family's weather-worn house, looking up at the night sky. Ethan loved the stars. He often said that the slow movement of constellations felt like a secret language only the universe could speak. He had no idea that the universe had already spoken, and that it had spoken about him. Ordinary days. Ethan's life was simple. He worked part-time at a small bookstore, helped his mother with chores, and met friends at the local pier for late-night talks. He was quiet but curious, the kind of person who listened more than he spoke. Teachers called him thoughtful, friends called him a daydreamer. The world around him, however, was no longer simple. Radios and phones buzzed with endless debates about the strange signal. The phrase, "He will be mine," played on news shows until it felt like the entire planet was holding its breath. Ethan watched the reports but felt distant from them. It was frightening, yes, but it felt like something happening to other people, far away, in space. That sense of distance began to crack the first night the lights flickered. Strange signs. It was late, almost midnight. Ethan was alone in his small room, reading a science fiction novel. A cold breeze slipped through the half-open window. As he turned a page, the overhead light blinked off, on, then off again. The rest of the house stayed bright. He checked the switch. Perfectly fine. The next evening it happened again, but this time the flicker carried a faint, soft hum, almost like a low musical note just below hearing. The air felt heavy, like before a thunderstorm, though the sky outside was clear and full of stars. Over the next few days other odd things followed. The screen of his phone glowed for a moment even when it was turned off. His watch ticked faster whenever he stood on the balcony. A neighbor's cat, normally friendly, hissed and ran when he walked by. Ethan tried to explain it away, faulty wiring, tired eyes, coincidence. Yet a quiet part of his mind whispered that something was different about him, and that whisper grew louder each night. Dreams of the Queen. The dreams started a week after the first flicker. He would fall asleep and find himself standing on a vast field of silver light. Above him stretched a dark sky filled with slow-moving stars. From the distance came the sound of soft chimes, like crystal bells. Then a figure appeared, a tall woman with hair that shone like liquid starlight and eyes the color of deep oceans. A crown of glowing blue gems rested on her head, each jewel pulsing like a heartbeat. In the first dream she said nothing, only watched him with a calm, powerful gaze. In the second dream, she raised a hand toward him, and he felt a warm current flow through his chest. By the third night she whispered a single sentence. "Do not fear me, Ethan." He woke each time with his heart pounding, the echo of her voice fading slowly into the morning air. Uneasy attention. Outside Ethan's personal world, the planet grew restless. Governments scrambled to track the source of the message. Telescopes pointed toward a bright blue star 40 light-years away. Military forces increased their alerts. But in the town's small harbor cafe, people mainly gossiped and joked, thinking the whole thing might be a prank. Only Ethan sensed a quiet connection between himself and the voice. He told no one, not his mother, not his best friend, not the old fisherman who often shared stories with him on the pier. He feared they would laugh or worry. Yet the feeling would not leave. Each time he looked at the night sky, the stars seemed to lean closer, as if they were waiting for him to answer a question he could not hear. The night of the silver line. One warm evening, after closing the bookstore, Ethan walked home along the empty beach. The tide whispered over the sand. Above, the moon hung low and bright. Halfway home he noticed a thin silver line across the sky, straight and sharp like a drawn blade of light. It stretched from horizon to horizon, shimmering faintly. No clouds, no planes, just that single glowing line. He stopped, breath caught. The line pulsed once. At the same moment, every light along the boardwalk flickered and went dark. Only the silver line remained. For a heartbeat, the world felt completely silent. Then the line vanished. The streetlights blinked back to life. The night air smelled faintly of metal. Ethan hurried home, heart racing. He locked the door behind him and pressed his back against it, listening. Nothing but the ordinary creak of the house. Yet he felt certain, something, or someone, had just looked directly at him. A quiet realization. Lying awake, Ethan thought about the words everyone kept repeating, "He will be mine." Until now, he had been a mystery, a distant idea. But as he stared at the dark ceiling, he felt the slow, cold certainty settle in. Whoever had spoken those words across the stars wasn't searching for someone. They were searching for him. The day began with a strange quiet, as if the whole planet held its breath. Clouds hung low over the ocean, and the air smelled like metal before a storm. Ethan woke early, uneasy. He looked out from his balcony and felt that the sky itself was waiting for something. Across the world, millions of people felt the same stillness. Streets that were usually full of noise seemed softer, and even birds paused their morning songs. In busy cities and small towns alike, eyes turned upward. At 9:12 a.m. the silence broke. A deep vibration rolled through the air like a slow drumbeat. Windows rattled. Dogs barked and then fell silent again. From horizon to horizon, the clouds began to glow with a cold blue light. People gasped and pointed. Children clung to their parents. Then the sky opened. From beyond the thin clouds came a shape darker than night and brighter than polished glass. It was a ship, vast, black, and shining, shaped like a smooth crescent moon. The craft blocked out the sun as it drifted silently toward Earth. Its surface shimmered with moving lines of silver that pulsed like veins of living metal. Every camera on the planet turned upward. News anchors stuttered through their broadcasts. Fighter jets scrambled into the sky but slowed as they neared the giant object. No weapons fired. The ship gave no sign of hostility, only silent power. Ethan stood frozen on the sand near the pier, eyes wide. Around him, neighbors and strangers gathered, their faces pale and awed. He felt the vibration in his chest, a rhythm that matched the strange humming he had heard in his dreams. The ship slowed and hovered over the ocean, miles long, casting a vast shadow over the waves. For a moment the world seemed to stop. Then a beam of soft blue light shot downward, wide as a city street. The light touched the water but did not burn. Instead, it carved a perfect circle of rippling silver. From that circle rose a figure of light, a hologram, taller than any building. It was her. The alien queen. She stood in perfect clarity, her presence larger than life. Her long hair shimmered like starlight, and a crown of glowing gems rested on her head. Her armor gleamed crimson and gold, every curve alive with soft blue sparks. Her eyes glowed with calm, endless depth. When she spoke, the world heard her voice at once, on every screen, every radio, every speaker, and even in the open air. "I am Queen Seralith of the Star Realms," she said, her words slow and perfect in English. "I come to claim what is destined." The crowd around Ethan gasped. Reporters shouted into microphones. Military leaders barked orders. But the queen raised one hand and the noise seemed to fade, as if her gesture carried a silent command. "Do not fear," she continued. I bring no war. I bring a promise. One among you has been chosen. He is the bridge between your world and mine. He will guide the joining of our people. The blue light of her hologram swept slowly across the shore, scanning the crowd. People stepped back, shielding their faces. The beam moved with purpose, as if it could see through every heart. Then the queen extended her arm and pointed, directly toward the beach where Ethan stood. He will be mine, she said. The word struck Ethan like a physical force. Around him, people turned to stare. Some backed away. Others held up phones to capture the moment. Ethan felt the sand shift under his feet, though he had not moved. His heart pounded, but some deeper part of him recognized her, as if he had known her forever. Soldiers rushed forward, forming a barrier. A voice shouted through a loudspeaker, demanding that the queen explain herself. But she did not answer the soldiers. Her gaze stayed locked on Ethan. Ethan Ward, she said, speaking his name perfectly. Child of Earth. Starborn by right. Come to me. The crowd erupted. How did she know his name? People shouted questions. Cameras zoomed in on his stunned face. Ethan's mother, watching from their small house, dropped a glass that shattered on the floor. Ethan tried to step back, but the sand beneath him glowed with a soft blue ring. The hum grew louder, matching the beat of his heart. A tall column of light rose around him like a silent tornado. Warmth filled the air, not burning but gentle, as if the light itself welcomed him. Fear surged through him, but alongside it came a strange pull, a call that felt both terrifying and right. Memories of the queen's dreams flooded his mind, her eyes, her voice, the quiet promise that he belonged to something greater. The hologram of Queen Seralith lowered her hand. Do not be afraid, she said. You are safe with me. Government leaders shouted through radio channels. Jets circled helplessly above. None of it mattered. The ship remained motionless, powerful and calm, as if it existed outside their control. The blue column around Ethan brightened. The sand lifted slightly beneath his shoes. He felt weightless. Around him, the crowd fell silent again, watching in awe as their world changed. A final word echoed across the beach, clear as the rising sun. Ethan, come. And before he could think, the light carried him upward, toward the vast black ship waiting in the sky. The blue beam faded as soon as Ethan disappeared into the alien ship. For a long moment the beach was silent. People stared at the empty ring of glowing sand where he had stood. The ocean rolled in slow waves as if nothing had happened, but every person there felt the world had changed forever. News spread in seconds. Reporters shouted into cameras. Drones hovered above the shoreline, filming the vast dark ship that still floated over the sea like a silent mountain. Across the planet, every television, every phone, every screen showed the image of the giant craft and the empty blue ring where Ethan had been. Governments reacted at once. Military jets circled but kept their distance. Navy ships moved closer, their guns ready but unfired. Commanders spoke in tight voices, careful not to start a war they could not win. No weapons could match something that had crossed the stars. Inside their homes people whispered. Who was the young man the queen had taken? Why him? What did she want? Some called Ethan a hero. Others called him a hostage. In a secure government center far from the coast, scientists and leaders argued. They played the queen's words again, he will be mine. He is the bridge between our worlds. Bridge to what? A general asked. Peace or invasion? No one could answer. Intelligence agents rushed to learn everything about Ethan Ward. They hacked into school records, medical files, even family photos. They discovered he was 19, healthy, with no criminal history. A quiet student who loved astronomy and books. Nothing that explained why a ruler from another galaxy would travel across light years for him. One scientist found something strange. Hidden deep in old genetic research was a note about a rare pattern in Ethan's DNA, a sequence that matched a faint signal recorded from deep space decades ago. It was a mystery long forgotten, until now. A mother's fear. While experts argued, Ethan's mother sat in their small house, staring at the television. She had dropped a glass when the Queen spoke his name, but she barely noticed the shards on the floor. Neighbors knocked to offer comfort, but she could only whisper, "He's still alive. I know he's alive." She replayed the Queen's words again and again. The sound of that calm, strong voice felt both frightening and strangely gentle. She could not tell if it was a threat or a promise. Inside the ship. Far above the ocean, Ethan floated in a chamber of soft blue light. The air was warm and smelled faintly of metal and rain. He felt no weight, no fear, only a deep, steady heartbeat that was not his own. The room around him shimmered like liquid glass. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, changing shape as he looked at them. Alien figures, tall, graceful soldiers in crimson armor, stood silently along a wide walkway. Their eyes shone with silver light, but they made no move to harm him. At the far end of the hall, Queen Seralith waited. She wore a robe of dark gold that glimmered like 1,000 tiny stars. When she spoke, her voice filled the chamber without echo. "Welcome, Ethan." He wanted to ask how she knew his name, why she had come, but the words stuck in his throat. "You feel fear," she said softly. "That is natural. But I did not bring you here to harm you. You are important to both our worlds. Your life carries a pattern older than your planet. We call it the Star Key. It exists only in you." Ethan shook his head. "I don't understand." "You will," she replied. "You are the bridge. Through you, our peoples may learn peace, or face war. The choice will be yours." Pressure from Earth. Back on Earth, the world demanded action. Leaders sent urgent messages to the alien ship, asking for Ethan's safe return. Navy captains warned that if he was not released, they would act. The Queen answered through a sudden broadcast that appeared on every screen at once. Her face filled the sky. "Do not fear. He is safe with me," she said. "He must choose his path. No harm will come if you remain calm." Her words were calm, but the sight of her towering image, her glowing eyes and steady voice, sent a chill through millions. Fighter pilots reported that the ship's surface pulsed with strange energy fields, impossible to penetrate. Every attempt to scan inside failed. No one could touch the vessel, and no one could stop it. Ethan's conflict. Inside the chamber, Ethan's heart pounded. 1,000 questions swirled in his mind: his mother, his home, the people on the beach, the entire planet waiting below. The Queen's eyes held his, bright as twin suns. "I am not a soldier," he said quietly. "You are more than a soldier," Seralith replied. "You are the only one who can join what was long divided." The alien guards remained still, their silver eyes watchful but not threatening. Ethan felt both small and strangely powerful, as if some hidden part of him had been waiting for this moment his entire life. The ship drifted silently above the ocean while the world watched and wondered. Inside, a young man faced the choice of a lifetime, and far below, billions of people waited for the next move of the alien queen who had crossed the stars to find him. The alien ship drifted high above the ocean, silent and unmoving. Far below, the world waited. News anchors spoke in whispers. Soldiers kept their weapons ready but did not fire. Every eye watched the dark shape in the sky and wondered what was happening inside. Ethan stood at the heart of the ship, a wide hall that shimmered like crystal. The floor glowed faint blue, and tall pillars rose like frozen lightning. He felt the air hum around him, warm and alive, as if the ship itself breathed. Queen Seralith approached. Her golden robe flowed like starlight, and the gems of her crown pulsed with soft light. She carried no weapon, only the calm power of someone who needed none. Ethan's pulse raced. "Why am I here?" he asked. His voice sounded small in the vast chamber. "You already know," she said. Her voice was music and thunder at once. "You are the bridge between our worlds. Only you can guide us to peace." "I don't understand," Ethan whispered. The Queen stopped a few steps away. "You carry the star key," she explained. "A living code hidden in your blood. Long ago, our scientists sent a seed of this pattern across space. We waited for it to grow in a mind brave enough to face the stars. That seed is you." Ethan shook his head. "I'm just a student. I work in a bookstore." Seralith smiled gently. "Great changes often come from quiet hearts. Visions of two futures." She raised one slender hand. A circle of light formed in the air, shimmering like water. Images filled the circle, bright and real. First he saw war, ships burning in black space, cities in flames, the earth covered in smoke. Explosions rolled across oceans while silent stars looked on. Then the image shifted. He saw peace, humans and aliens standing together, sharing knowledge, building shining towers on new worlds. Children of both species played under twin suns. "These are the paths ahead," Seralith said. "Your choice will decide which future becomes real." Ethan stared at the visions, his stomach tight. "How can I choose something so big? I'm nobody." "You are not nobody," the Queen said softly. "The key exists only in you. It lets you open a gate between our worlds, or keep it closed forever. But you must choose soon. The time of decision is near." Earth calls out. A sudden voice echoed through the chamber. It was sharp and human, his mother's voice, faint but clear. "Ethan. Can you hear me?" Ethan turned. On a glowing panel nearby, a small screen flickered to life. An Earth command center appeared, crowded with worried faces. An officer spoke. "Ethan, this is Commander Lee. We demand your immediate return. Your planet needs you." Seralith watched calmly, saying nothing. The officer continued, "If you are under threat, say the word. We will act." Ethan stepped closer to the screen. "Mom," he said, his throat tight. Her eyes filled with tears. "Come home, Ethan. Please." Static cracked. The image wavered. Seralith touched a control and the screen vanished. "I will not harm them," she said quietly. "But Earth must not force your choice. It must be yours alone." The weight of decision. Ethan felt torn in two. His heart ached for home, for his mother and the simple life he knew. But something deeper stirred within him, a call that had begun with dreams of stars and endless skies. He looked at Seralith. "If I go with you, will Earth be safe?" "Yes," she said. "I seek alliance, not conquest. But without the bridge you provide, fear may lead to war." Ethan closed his eyes. He remembered the night he first saw the silver line across the sky, the soft hum in his room, the strange pull he could not explain. It all led here. When he opened his eyes, the Queen's bright gaze waited patiently. An unexpected strength. "I'm afraid," Ethan admitted. "That is wisdom," Seralith replied. "Courage is not the absence of fear. It is choosing despite fear." He felt a sudden calm, as if her words were a steady hand on his heart. He stepped forward until he stood only a breath away from her. "I will help," he said quietly. "But I belong to Earth first." The Queen inclined her head, a gesture of respect. "Then we begin together," she said. Light blossomed around them, brighter than the sun yet soft as morning mist. Ethan felt the star key within him awaken, a gentle warmth spreading through his chest. Symbols of silver light rose from the floor, swirling like tiny galaxies. A world watching. Far below, people on beaches and rooftops saw the ship glow with sudden brilliance. The black surface turned to liquid silver. Cameras captured the moment, and millions held their breath. In the command centers of Earth, alarms rang, but no weapon fired. The ship did not attack. It simply shone, sending a quiet wave of blue light across the sky like a second dawn. On that light, a new message echoed across every screen and speaker. Together, we protect this world. It was Saralitha's voice, but Ethan heard his own heart inside the words. The glow softened. Inside the chamber, Ethan stood beside the Queen, looking at a giant map of stars that filled the air. He did not know the details of the path ahead, only that he had chosen it. And somewhere in the silence of space, the future of two worlds began. High above the quiet ocean, the alien ship shone like a second moon. Its silver light painted the waves and cast long blue shadows across every coast. People everywhere stopped to watch. Some prayed, some wept, some simply stared at the strange beauty filling the sky. Inside the ship, Ethan stood beside Queen Saralith on a wide platform of clear crystal. Around them floated a map of stars, thousands of glowing points that slowly turned like a living galaxy. The air hummed with soft music, a sound without instruments. Saralith raised her hand. "The bridge will open soon," she said. Her voice was gentle but strong, like distant thunder. "When it does, our two worlds will see each other as never before. Are you ready?" Ethan swallowed hard. "I think so." "You do not need to be fearless," she told him. "You only need to be willing." Earth holds its breath. Far below, command centers buzzed with tense voices. Admirals and scientists watched radar screens that now showed not a ship, but a growing sphere of light around it. "Energy levels rising," one technician reported. "No sign of aggression," another added. On television screens across the planet, reporters spoke softly. Families crowded in living rooms, holding hands. Even city streets fell strangely quiet. Everyone waited. In a small seaside house, Ethan's mother sat with neighbors and stared at the glowing sky. Tears blurred her vision, but she whispered, "That's my boy up there. The heart of the star key." Back on the ship, Saralith touched the center of the spinning star map. A beam of golden light leapt from her hand and wrapped around Ethan's chest. He gasped as warmth flooded through him. "This is the star key inside you," she explained. "It links your world and mine. It carries memory older than either planet, a call sent across the universe long ago. Now it wakes." Symbols like silver fireflies rose from Ethan's skin, dancing in the air. They formed a pattern that matched the stars around them, creating a shining path through space. Ethan's heart pounded. "It feels alive," he said. "It is alive," Saralith replied. "It listens to you." A test of trust. Suddenly the chamber dimmed. A low rumble shook the ship. A voice, deep and metallic, echoed through the hall. "Warning," it said in an alien tongue. Saralitha's calm face tightened. "An old defense system," she explained. "It senses the bridge forming and fears attack." Blue shields flared across the walls. The star map flickered. Energy crackled like lightning. "What do we do?" Ethan asked. "You must steady the key," the Queen said. "Only you can keep the path open." Ethan closed his eyes. He thought of home, the smell of rain on warm pavement, his mother's laugh, the soft hum of night insects. He thought of the faces of people everywhere, watching and hoping. He whispered, "Stay open. Stay peaceful." The silver symbols around him brightened. The rumble softened. The shields faded like mist. Saralith smiled. "Your heart speaks well," she said. "The system obeys you." With a low, beautiful tone, the bridge began to form. A column of blue light rose from the ship and stretched downward until it touched the ocean. The sea glowed like liquid sapphire. Across the world, screens came alive. Not with static or war, but with pictures, clear, bright images of Saralitha's homeworld. People saw vast crystal cities beneath twin suns. Forests of silver-leaved trees waved in warm wind. Children with shining eyes played beside lakes that reflected two moons. It was a vision of life beyond imagination. Gasps filled living rooms and city squares. Even the hardest soldiers lowered their weapons. Saralitha's voice carried across every device, gentle but firm. People of Earth, we come in peace. We seek knowledge, friendship, and the strength of unity. Fear is natural. But today fear need not rule you. A promise made. Ethan stepped forward so the cameras could see him. He felt nervous but steady. My name is Ethan Ward, he said, his voice reaching every corner of Earth. I'm safe. I believe we can meet these visitors as friends, not enemies. Please, let's listen before we fight. For a long moment, the world was silent. Then messages began to flood across networks. From presidents and farmers, teachers and children. They all said the same word, welcome. Saralith turned to Ethan. They trust because you trust, she said softly. You have opened the bridge. Two worlds begin. The star map above them widened until it filled the chamber with light. Paths of silver connected Earth to the Queen's home star, lines of promise stretching across black space. Ethan felt a quiet joy. He didn't know what the future would hold, shared science, new journeys, or challenges yet unseen. But he knew one thing, the choice for peace had begun with him, and with every person on Earth who dared to hope. The Queen placed a warm hand on his shoulder. Our worlds walk together now, she said. This is only the first step. Outside, the alien ship pulsed like a living star. Below, the ocean reflected its light, and the world breathed as morning sunlight touched the ocean like a sheet of glass. Above it, the alien ship floated in calm silence, glowing with soft silver light. People across the world woke to a sky still painted with faint blue from the night's great bridge of light. It felt like a dream that refused to fade. Ethan stood at the ship's wide observation deck beside Queen Saralith. Through the crystal walls he saw Earth below, a swirl of green and blue that seemed both close and impossibly far. He felt small, yet more connected to his planet than ever. Saralith watched the rising sun. Your world is beautiful, she said quietly. It is worth every mile of the journey. Ethan nodded. It's home, he said. And now, maybe it's part of something bigger. Messages across the stars. Communication lines between Earth and the ship stayed open through the night. Leaders spoke carefully, but the tone had shifted from fear to wonder. Scientists asked endless questions. Students sent greetings that filled the channels with laughter and hope. News screens everywhere showed images of Saralitha's world again and again, twin suns, silver forests, glowing lakes. People watched in awe. Children pointed at the stars and dreamed of traveling there someday. In a quiet room at the seaside house, Ethan's mother listened to her son's voice over a secure link. Mom, I'm okay, he said. You'll see me soon. There's so much to explain. She closed her eyes in relief and whispered, come home when you can. I'm proud of you. Plans for peace. On the ship, a grand council chamber lit with soft starlight. Saralith stood before a ring of alien advisors whose robes shimmered like liquid metal. Holograms of Earth leaders joined the meeting. Ethan sat near the Queen, listening. We must begin with trust, Saralith said. Trade, shared science, and learning. No weapons. A human diplomat nodded. We agree. Knowledge first. Let our people meet, speak, and study together. They drafted the first treaty between their species, simple promises of respect, visits, and open skies. Ethan signed as witness for Earth. The Queen placed her elegant symbol beside his name, a spiral of light that glowed briefly before fading into the document. A walk among stars. Later, Saralith led Ethan to a quiet corridor where the ceiling opened to deep space. Stars glittered like a million candles. A slow current of glowing dust flowed past like a silent river. "You are the bridge, Ethan," she said softly. "Without you, fear might have won. But you gave courage to your people and to mine." Ethan felt a warm pride, but also a deep humility. "I just tried to listen," he said. "That is enough," Seralith replied. "In many worlds, listening is the rarest courage. A choice to return." The time came for Ethan to decide whether to remain aboard the ship or return to Earth. He looked again at his home planet, the swirling blue and green sphere that held his family and friends. "I want to go back," he said finally. "There's so much to share. People will need someone who's seen both sides." Seralith inclined her head. "You will always be welcome among the stars. When you are ready, the bridge will open again." Before leaving, Ethan asked, "Will you visit Earth yourself?" "When your people invite me," she said with a soft smile. "Peace grows best when it is chosen, not forced." The journey home. A circle of blue light formed around Ethan, gentle and bright. He felt a weightless pull, like drifting on warm wind. The Queen's final words reached him as the light carried him downward. "Remember, we walk together now." The world below rushed closer until he stood once more on the sandy beach where it all began. Crowds cheered as he appeared, safe and unharmed. His mother ran to him and wrapped him in a tight embrace. Reporters shouted questions, but Ethan only smiled, holding his mother's hand. "I'll explain soon," he said. "But first, I just want to breathe Earth's air." Over the next days, the alien ship remained in orbit, silent but visible like a second moon. Earth's people watched it with a mixture of awe and hope. Messages of friendship streamed from both worlds. Scientists prepared for shared missions. Children wrote letters to the stars. Ethan spoke to crowds and cameras, always using simple words. "We met not as enemies, but as neighbors," he told them. "They came with open hands. We can meet them the same way." His calm voice spread across nations, softening old fears and sparking new dreams. A new horizon. One evening, as twilight colored the sky, the alien ship began to glow again. A slow, graceful motion carried it upward. Its silver surface caught the fading sun and blazed like a moving star. People everywhere looked up and waved. Ethan stood on a high cliff with his mother. He watched until the ship became a single point of light and finally disappeared among the stars. "They'll be back," he said quietly. His mother smiled. "And you'll be ready." Ethan gazed at the night sky, filled with countless possibilities. He no longer felt small. He felt part of something vast and alive, a shared future where two worlds could meet without fear. The first bridge between Earth and the stars had been built, not with weapons, but with trust and a single human heart willing to listen.